let's talk about competitors, right? Everyone has them. Whether it's a direct competitor that does exactly what you do or somewhat like you, or you're just competing for their space, their time, their budget. Either way, there is competitors out there. So I always love when I talk to someone, they're like, oh, we don't have any competitors. Of course you have competitors. It's just a matter of what kind of competitors. Now, I was working with a company recently and interviewing their sales reps to kind of understand what's going on in the landscape. And when you hear that your prospect is using X company, what do? Well, I'm not going to bash on them. Of course you're not going to bash on them. Like that's sales 101. You don't just go and throw them under the bus and say they're terrible. Why would you ever use them? And get the prospect in turn to all of a sudden start defending them. Even if they don't like them, they're going to start defending them. So what do you do instead? What do you do when you hear that they're using a specific competitor, or maybe they're not using anyone at all? But again, you're trying to get their budget. You're trying to get their time. You're still competing with something. Here's the thing that you do. You have to, first of all, understand and know the strengths and weaknesses of the competitor, or again, they're not using anybody. What are the strengths and weaknesses of that? And now start poking holes in it and asking questions. I'm talking to someone and they're using a specific competitor, and I know that there's things that they don't do very well that we do really well. I'm gonna start asking, what do you do about, and then start asking questions. Now, I'm not saying, they're really bad at this, right? I'm not asking that. I'm asking, is this something that matters to you? Because if it does, and I know they don't do it, I've got a conversation of something that I can solve. So I'm not trying to say, take us over them because we're better, and not focusing in on price, because sure, maybe if you're the cheapest solution out there, you can be able to compete on price, but you don't want everything to be about price. You have to have something that's going to solve something for them that they have. So focusing in on those things. If they're not using anybody, how are you handling this? What are those things? You want to have them say, yes, that's a problem for me. How can you help? That is your goal. Whether you're in prospecting mode or discovery call, or all the way up to a demo, and you're trying to understand, is there a fit? Is there a reason for them to make a change from doing nothing, or a change from a competitor, or you're competing, maybe they don't have anybody yet, but they're doing their due diligence and they're looking at all of the other competitors at the same time. So again, when you're thinking about how do I compete and how do I have those conversations, you got to know them really well so that you can be able to have those conversations. And as soon as you hear that name or that process or that product, whatever it may be, you say, what about this? And you start asking questions to see if that's something that would be helpful for them. It may not be. You may not have an opportunity for them. You don't have a solution because everything that they have right in front of them is doing the job. But if it's not, and you can solve it for them, that's when you have a deal on your hand that you can go win.